Hello, great people. Thank you for waiting. Happy Friday, TGIF. I hope you are safe and sound and happy either with this week to be over or happy about the weekend or maybe happy to be now on Friday evening at home or watching actual news. Certainly, I'm happy to be here with you. Um, let's check some comments. We already have Eliza says, evening all. Hey, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. That's a pretty cat. That's so cute. So today we're going to talk about our big surprise. President Biden joined the press briefing at the White House, which is a very rare occasion. And certainly we're going to play some clips as to what he said and why was he there, and questions and answers and some fun moment as he was leaving. Then we're going to go to Detroit and see how Kamala Harris today delivered remarks at a rally there. Then she flew to Flint. We're going to explore that. Also, she has some great guests introducing her there. So if you're a basketball fan, Magic Johnson was there. So we're going to explore that. And then talk about actual news and what the heck happened today in the world and what shall we be aware of. Hi, Brandon. Great timing. Just sat down with my dinner. See, I felt that. Some would say I'm late, but I was waiting for you. Okay, Brandon, this is just for you. Thank you. Thank you for being here. And if this is your first time, I deliver actual news. And so please, I welcome your comments and questions and feedback. And if you know something I don't know, please comment. I gladly stay corrected. We explore it together. So make sure to add your voice to our conversation. All right. So first things first, today, President Biden issued a statement on September jobs report. And if you already read your newsletter, because I'm sending out newsletters now earlier, so around 5, 6 p.m. If you're not subscribed, get it. Okay, go get it. Onest.substack.com. Honest without Honest. And I mentioned more about jobs there as well, because it's not just one number. There's a certain factor that prohibited us to even have a better number in terms of unemployment. And I'll explain why. So first, President Biden issued this statement. He says, quote, today we received good news for American workers and families with more than 250,000 new jobs in September and unemployment back down to 4.1%. With today's report, we've created 16 million jobs. Unemployment remains low and wages are growing faster than prices. Under my administration, unemployment has been the lowest in 50 years. A record 19 million new businesses have been created, and inflation and interest rates are falling. So he also chose this as the occasion to join of course, the White House press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, at her briefing today at the White House. And so that's his picture. He looked great. It's fantastic. We will take pictures there. That was a moment. But I want to be a little stinky first. Okay. So, dear White House correspondent folks, and especially dear White House Correspondent Association, because you are there to enforce the rules. Okay, now I'm going to be frank. How the heck you didn't know that once president enters the room, you lift up your behind and you stand up? That's how you show respect. It's President of the United States of America. You don't scream at him. He's not there as a target that you can just unleash your fears and your conspiracy on. He is the President of the United States of America. It's Joe Biden now. There's no other president. I don't know, just figure it out. You stand up when he enters, whether you hear the da-da-da-da-da-da, right? Hail to the chief. You hear it or not, you get up, you lift up your behind, and you show respect. Same as when he's leaving, you get up. What does the White House Association thing do? This is the basic rule that you need to know. I'm European born and I know that. How? Get up, show your respect. Don't show, oh my God, oh, Joe is here. Welcome, Joe. Hey, why are you here? That's not the reaction. This is the President of the United States of America. Check yourself. All right. So, and that's partially his statement about the economy. Let's check it out.
Hey, look, folks, good afternoon. The past 2 days we've gotten some very good news about the American economy. Just yesterday, shipping carriers, after some discussion, an International Longshoremen Union came to an agreement to keep ports in the East Coast and the Gulf ports open. We averted what could have become a major crisis for the country, and a tentative agreement which includes record wage increases for dock workers and shows the importance of collective bargaining and represents, I think, critical progress toward a strong contract. I especially want to thank the carriers, the port operators, and the Longshoremen's Union for reaching this agreement at a time when the nation has experienced such terrible devastation from Hurricane Helene. It was truly a service to the American people for all these parties to come together to respond to our request to keep the ports open. I was determined to avert a crisis at this moment because it's a critical moment. If we didn't do this now, we'd have a real problem. I also want to thank my White House team for the work. They worked around the clock to bring the parties together. But today, we got more incredible news. Although the strength of the American economy it's about the strength of the American economy. New jobs report, as you all know, you've been reporting, created 250,000 jobs in September. The expectation was for 150,000 jobs in September, which has far exceeded that number. Not only the previous 2 months was the previous 2 months was revised up 75,000 jobs. And from the very beginning, we were told time and again that the policies we were pursuing, we'd put forward weren't going to work, make things worse, including some of the other team are still saying they're going to make things worse. But we've proven them wrong. You know, we've told our we were told our American rescue plan was too big and it would crowd out private investment. We proved them wrong, vaccinated a nation and got immediate economic relief to people in need. When I came to office determined to end trickle-down economics and grow the economy from the middle out and the bottom up. I know you're tired of hearing me say that over and over again, but that was the policy, that it remains the policy. Because when you do that, everyone does well. When the middle class grows, the nation's stronger. And the nation's stronger when there's a strong union movement as well. We were told it wouldn't work, but I was also determined to do what was ignored for much too long. Presidents have been authorized since the 30s to be able to spend the money given by Congress to spend the money on hiring American workers and using American product where they were available. And that's what we did. We were told that was going to be a big problem. But all the money I was authorized to spend by the Congress has gone to hiring American workers and using American products.
Right. And Keith, to your point, yes, the mic is not even adjusted, but that mic you can't adjust at all. They switched it out. If you see, I think on my Instagram, you see the gray podium. Now it's dark blue. It has like this fixed mic, so it doesn't extend itself. But all the mics are in this room. All these mics are facing the front. And when the question is asked, then the mics are facing to the back. And there's cameras, right? They're switching, whoever they show as well. So acoustics there are pretty good, so that's why we can hear him without any problems. So, and then he talked about economy in specific. So this is 1 minute 13 seconds, but it really brings all the points that he was there to deliver. Check it out.
Vice President Harris and I have been in office. We've created jobs every single month. The nation has now created 16 million jobs since I've come to office, more jobs created in a single presidential term than any time in American history. Our GDP shows our economy grew at 10% under my administration. Unemployment reached the lowest level in 50 years. We're also told inflation couldn't come down without massive job losses or sending the economy into economic recession. Once again, outside experts were wrong. Inflation has come down. Wages have gone up faster than prices. Interest rates are down. Record 19 million new business applications have been filed for. The stock market continues to reach new heights. We've got more work to do, though. Keep getting prices down, like more affordable housing, extending what I've done for seniors and lowering prescription drug costs by letting Medicare negotiate the prices, make sure that's available to everyone. And by the way, what we've done so far, just when we've brought down the prices for seniors under Medicare, it's saved the taxpayers billions of dollars.
And you guys are commenting on sound technician. What you don't know, the cameras in the back of the room are running constantly. There's nobody monitoring them. Only some channels will have a person monitoring it when there's literal Q&A, but the cameras are running nonstop and they just tune in live when there is a meeting. So you can't have cameras there without a person standing there 24/7, because in case something is unannounced, they can just tune in and showcase whatever that camera is filming at the moment, which was pretty interesting and certainly something to remember for those folks who do, have meetings in that room or work there or whatever. I need a charger. Okay. We all need a charger. It's a Friday. All right. It's a Friday. Now, first question President Biden was asked is, Marco Rubio, thinks that whatever you just delivered here, Mr. President, is fake. Fake numbers.
Real.
Look, I'm going to be very careful here. If you notice, anything the MAGA Republicans don't like, they call fake. Anything. The job numbers are what the job numbers are. They're real. They're sincere. They're what we are. And by the way, just look at how the EU talks about us, how they like to have an economy like ours. Just talk about the rest of the world looks at us and what we're doing. So
Really? You didn't lift up your behind. And now you're asking if whatever he came here to deliver is fake because Marco Rubio told you that. Now, maybe we should start quoting Marjorie Taylor Greene, how the hurricane was directed to red states to drown those ballots or whatever. Pay some respect. Take several seats. Read the room. Who's in front of you? What kind of question are you asking? All right? You're representing one of the three channels we all know since, 50s. For God's sake. Next question. Is Netanyahu meddling with our election? Now, that's a good one.
He said it's certainly a possibility that the Israeli government is not going to sign any diplomatic agreement prior to the election, which is what you have been calling for so long, potentially to try to influence the result. Do you agree? Do you have any worries that Netanyahu may be trying to influence the election and that's why he has not agreed to a diplomatic solution?
no administration has helped Israel more than I have. None. 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 And I think Bibi should remember that. And whether he's trying to influence the election or not, I don't know, but I'm not counting on that.
Yeah. Well, word meddling is a big word, right? Putin is meddling, right? Because he's sending the cyber folks to steal data, to manipulate folks, also to pay people in Moldova. Like I told you yesterday, I reported on it, how he's paying voters not to vote to join the EU. So that's meddling. Netanyahu prioritizes himself and himself only, right? And that does exclude people in Israel. That does exclude them. It's really, literally him and him only, which reminds you on whom? On Mr. Trump. Same story, different day. So Netanyahu, it's been said that he's facing some lawsuits, right? That's supposed to be coming forward in December. So unless they are at war, then he would be facing this music. So certainly for him, extending this conflict is of an interest. Now, if he keeps striking like today, and I have a readout on that, he keeps striking the sort of the, Syria and Iran, not Iran particularly, but Syria, Lebanon. I think today was Lebanon. And so he's trying to get those guys out who are headlining Hamas and Hezbollah, right? So today they pretty much executed, right, and killed the guy who is a cousin of Nasrallah who got killed just a week ago, and so he's supposed to overtake the leadership of Hezbollah, and so today he got killed in that strike overnight. So certainly, what Israel does make sense. Now, could they have done it earlier? Could they have done it before without killing as many civilians and whatnot? That's another story. But Netanyahu is prioritizing himself and himself only. And certainly, if he is best buds with Trump, and we don't know, but what we do know is that they're meeting, they're talking, we see the pictures and whatnot, right? And he was not really eager to negotiate, right, and answer upon President Biden's call to have ceasefire and return hostages. So the hostages are certainly not the priority. The ceasefire is certainly not the priority. And now they're opening another front on at the northern Israel part, right, and southern Lebanon. So that's another story that adds to it. So at this point, certainly it prolongs. Whom does it have, so certainly he's not gifting, so to speak, gifting President Biden the ceasefire deal. He's extending it and possibly helping Trump with that. So for that reason, can we call it meddling or aligning his priorities with Trump's priorities? I would rather call that this way. Okay. So next question was as to, is President Biden estimating this election to be fair? Take a look.
Go ahead, Tam.
The election is a month away. One, I'd like to know how you're feeling about how this election is going. And then also, do you have confidence that it will be a free and fair election and that it will be peaceful?
Two separate questions.
Very much.
I'm confident it'll be free and fair. I don't know whether it'll be peaceful. The things that Trump has said and the things that he said last time out when he didn't like the outcome of the election were very dangerous. If you notice, I noticed that the vice presidential Republican candidate did not say he'd accept the outcome of the election. They haven't even accepted the outcome of the last election. So I'm concerned about what they're going to do.
Are you making any preparations, getting security briefings related to domestic security?
I always get those briefings.
You know what embarrasses me a little is as if nobody could really pivot, right? Because they created those questions assuming that they will be asking them Korean, right? And then president shows up and nobody could pivot and elevate the question to his level. Because whatever was asked here is sort of, it's as if a superstar is coming to some little, school concert and has to play, the drums that are meant for kindergarten. Like we are covering the White House. He's the leader of the White House. Can the questions be toward the leader and not directed to your audience that is clickbaity, that is Fox News clickbaity? And especially this question. And I know some of you said, well, this was so fun. It was so funny. It was funny, right? Because President Biden made it funny with a joke and with his delivery, right? He was asked whether, he was leaving. They started screaming like crazy per usual. Didn't get up, right? Didn't pay respect, but screamed and asked whether he's reconsidering to enter the election back again. And he joked about it. Take a look.
On long-range weapons?
Do you want to reconsider dropping out of the race?
I'm back in.
What made you want to come here today, Mr. President?
All right, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah, correct. By not admitting it. He made it funny. He made it sort of lighthearted, and he laughed and said, I'm back in, that type of stuff. But what kind of question is that? What kind of question is, what made you come up here? It's his goddamn house. It's his goddamn country at this point. He's president. He can show up wherever he wants to show up. In his house. What made you come here? What made you come here? Who made you come here? Why? All right, so some readout, some quick news. So yesterday evening, President Biden spoke by phone with Governor Bill Lee regarding the ongoing response and recovery efforts in Tennessee. and offered further support as needed. During the call, the president made clear that we will be there for the people of Tennessee as long as it takes. Also, I recently posted that he readjusted South Carolina help, and now it's 120 days instead of 90, and they overtake 100% of all expenses to clean out the debris and rebuild, right, everything that has been destroyed through the hurricane or with the hurricane. Also, in another news, which is kind of like cool, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Aura rings, those little things that Aura ring, yes, those things that you wear on your finger and it like measures your heartbeat and I think like percentage of oxygen in your blood and all that kind of stuff. So, Department of Defense explores biometric devices to enhance the health and wellness tracking of personnel. So they awarded $96 million contract on October 1st to this Finnish health technology company Aura for its smart rings and services to be provided to service members. So, we see that it's legit, but it's a big contract. So congratulations to Aura. That's a big one. Also, military officials warned on October 3rd that the number of National Guard forces deployed for Hurricane Helene relief efforts may increase as the extent of the storm's damage becomes more apparent. So currently, nearly 7,000 guardsmen and an additional 1,000 active duty soldiers have been dispatched to communities across southeastern United States to carry out search and rescue missions, clear damaged roads, and deliver aid to severely affected areas. So this number is guesstimated to rise. Okay. Needs a pair of dark sunglasses. Mood ring. No, it's not a mood ring. It's I don't want to advertise them, but it's a ring. I think it looks like something like a very simple, just a simple ring, right? And then it measures all your stuff, like what your iWatch does or any type of smart device. But the dark, yeah, that would be fun. They're pretty cool. Yeah, I've never tried it, but I've seen people do this type of stuff. Also, Biden-Harris administration provides more than $45 million to Hurricane Helene survivors, continues addressing critical needs across Southeast. So FEMA Administrator Criswell remains in North Carolina, along with FEMA senior leaders to bolster response efforts. And so a complete readout on that is in your email, so go check it out. My biggest thing now with the email is to be as concise as possible, to have all the news like very straight to the straightforward, straight to the point, actual news, so you don't waste time, but I make it interesting. So let me know if you like it. And I sent it earlier. So on Saturday, tomorrow, October 5th, Vice President Kamala Harris will travel to North Carolina to survey the impact of Hurricane Helene and receive an on-the-ground briefing about the continued recovery efforts that are occurring in communities across the state. By the way, she just arrived back in Washington, D.C. from Michigan. So she's ready to go tomorrow, back again. The Vice President will also provide updates on federal actions that are being taken to support emergency response and recovery efforts in North Carolina and other states throughout the Southeast. So that's about the hurricane. We're going to talk about that a little bit when we discuss Trump and his lies, okay, because the Trump is a separate segment, okay? I don't want to mix it up with everything because that's just like, it's like you have a very tasty dish and then you put some poop in it. Not kosher. Okay, so I mentioned that there is something interesting in terms of the job reports, right? We could have gotten with a better unemployment number if not for this. And this has been today reported by the Department of Transportation. So September 2024 U.S. transportation sector unemployment and employment trends. So first, what I want to talk about is that in September 2024, the unemployment rate in the U.S. transportation sector was 5.1%, a slight increase from 4.9% in September 2023, and significantly higher than the pre-pandemic level of 3.3% in September 2019. So overall U.S. unemployment for the same month was 3.9. Right? So President Biden mentioned 4.1. That's because you have to add the 5.1 with the transportation, so brings the average a little bit higher. So seasonally adjusted unemployment, as you see here, in transportation and warehousing fell 6.6 million, a 0.1% decrease from August 2024, but a 0.7% increase from September 2023. So various modes of transportation showed mixed trends, as you see here. For instance, air transportation rose slightly, while truck and rail transport saw minor declines. Warehousing and storage employment decreased by 0.6% from the previous month. So the Bureau of Transportation Statistics updated various dashboards related to employment and unemployment in the transportation sector, including demographic breakdowns. And so what they're citing is that they had to disinclude people who are no longer looking for jobs because people are getting unemployment since the pandemic. And so if you calculate this many people, the unemployment in transportation sector will be much higher. And so they had to evaluate and really take people who are 18 years and older and are currently actively searching for jobs. So certainly that is an interesting fact, how that perhaps also technology played a role, you know. And if you think about even airline industry, there are less flights, right? Because if you think about it, like for instance, if you go from New York to Florida, it used to go even almost like every hour. Now it's like 3 times a day. So certainly airlines suffered losses, reduced the number of flights, and hence unemployment certainly stagnated. That's my 2 cents on it. Mixing Trump news with good news is like how he puts ketchup on a steak. Amen to that, Daniel. Yes. Are you still blocked? You still using your burner account, Mr. Me? Oh, this is a cute dog, though. Okay. So let's talk about Harris rally in Detroit. Oh, that was fantastic. That was great. So VP Harris addressed Michigan Firefighters Union, a call for unity and collective bargaining. So the event kicked off. Here's a bit of like a background information. Kicked off with opening remarks from the president of the Michigan Professional Firefighters Union, setting the stage for an impactful address by Vice President Kamala Harris. In her remarks, Harris expressed her gratitude for the labor community, stating, quote, "It is so good to be in the House of Labor," which drew applause from the audience. She described firefighting as a calling and shared a personal connection, noting that her retired as a firefighter. Highlighting the dangerous conditions firefighters face, she reminded the crowd that while the people they help may not know their names, they know you guys are out there. Harris emphasized her appreciation for union support, stating, "I'm so thankful for you," which resonated strongly with the attendees. She also acknowledged representatives from other unions, including UAW and LIUNA, and mentioned the recent conclusion of longshoremen's strike, reinforcing her belief in collective bargaining. She says, quote, "I say everywhere I go, look, collective bargaining benefits everybody." So she said, describing it as a pursuit of fairness that uplifts all workers. And so she then mentioned, and here's some clips, she mentioned that we can't have strong middle class without American manufacturing, because certainly she was in Detroit. So that was the main idea of the speech. So check it out.
And we know we cannot have a strong middle class without American manufacturing. Over the last 3.5 years, we brought manufacturing back to America. We created 730,000 manufacturing jobs and announced the opening of more than 20 new auto plants in the United States.
So then she said that turning to the upcoming election, she says there's a contrast between the two visions, right? One is about focus on the past, one on focusing on the future. And she cited that growth of more than 500,000 new businesses applications in Michigan is promising to build on that success. And she's promising to build on that success when she's elected president. And so she encouraged everybody to invest in American workers.
20 new auto plants in the United States. And we did it by investing in American industry and American workers. And I want to make sure that America, not China, wins the competition for the 21st century.
Exactly. So then she shared personal anecdotes, recalling her experiences at a daycare center and addressing the high cost of housing. She pledged to cut red tape and referenced the promise to create 300 million new homes by the end of her first term, alongside providing first-time homebuyers with $25,000 in assistance. So, pointing to a strong jobs report, she also vowed to tackle price gouging and expand the child tax credit. Quote, "I will always put the middle class and working families first," she affirmed, emphasizing her roots in the middle class. And so then she started talking about Donald Trump. And here's this is a bit longer clip, it's about 3 minutes, but she did so well describing his record, right? She says, let's be real about Donald Trump. He was handed $400 million on a silver platter and then filed for bankruptcy 4 times. So, she labeled him as a union buster and the biggest loser when it comes to jobs. So take a look. It's 2 minutes 43 seconds. It's worth our time. So let's check it out.
Donald Trump's track record is a disaster for working people. And he's trying to gaslight people all over our country. But we know the facts and we know the truth. He is an existential threat to America's labor movement. Just look at his track record to know. He said he was the only one who could bring back America's manufacturing jobs. Michigan knows what I'm about to say. Then America lost nearly 200,000 manufacturing jobs when he was president, including tens of thousands of jobs in Michigan. And those losses started before the pandemic, so we're clear, making Donald Trump one of the biggest losers of manufacturing jobs in American history. And recall his record, his track record for the auto industry. He promised workers in Warren that the auto industry would, quote, not lose one plant during his presidency. Then, American automakers announced the closure of 6 auto plants when he was president, including General Motors in Warren and Stellantis in Detroit. Thousands of Michigan auto workers lost their jobs. And now he is making the same empty promises to the people of Michigan that he did before, hoping you will forget how he let you down. But we know if he wins again, it will be more of the same. Everything he intends to do is spelled out in Project 2025. If reelected, he intends to launch a full-on attack on unions and the freedom to organize. He will ban public sector unions, roll back workplace safety protections, and appoint a union buster to run the Department of Labor. And on top of that, Donald Trump will give billionaires and the biggest corporations massive tax cuts like he did last time. He will cut Social Security and Medicare and impose what I call a Trump sales tax, a 20% tax on everyday goods and necessities, which will cost, the economists have said, which will cost the average American over $4,000 a year more.
Okay. Powerful. And so she ended in closing. Harris positioned herself as the underdog in the presidential race, stating hard work is good work, as she per usual does. And her address resonated with union members, reinforcing the vital role of collective action and solidarity in labor movement. Then she flew to Flint. And this is the crowd in Flint. Check it out. I used to cover NBA, and this is more people than the NBA crowd because you don't have any space for the the field or for the players. So a lot. This is sort of I think you can compare it to what Taylor Swift concerts or any type of concert. So certainly not Kid Rock concert. So that was very, very busy, very cool. So I'm not going to show you clips of Kamala Harris speaking because it's echoed her speech in Detroit, but certainly about car manufacturing business and investing in unions and providing good jobs. But she was introduced by the big Gretch. So take a look.
So, as president, Kamala Harris knows that when we make more here in America, whether it's more energy, more cars, more batteries, more chips, we are stronger and the middle class grows. These chips are so important. They go in everything from your phone to your car to your dishwasher to your computer and everything else. And while Donald Trump worked against the CHIPS Act, Kamala Harris and Democrats got it over the finish line.
I'd love to see her in the cabinet, but she wants to be a governor. Okay. Keith says Kamala met with Arab leadership in Michigan today before the rally. You're right. Yes, she did. And that's a very important aspect because they said what? I said it yesterday. They don't want to have any diplomatic relationship with Israel until they recognize the two-state solution and in East Jerusalem open the capital for Palestine. Right? So it's very important. Also, Sullivan talks to them for 2 days in a row. So that's a big involvement. I love Big Red. She has done a great job as a governor. Absolutely. Yeah. And so Liz Cheney yesterday, Big Gretch today, Kamala Harris. So we see women, show up and show off, and certainly Hillary Clinton, who, started this and broke the ceiling first and foremost. So now next, if you're a basketball fan, here's Magic Johnson, and his number is 32, and it's 32 days before election. So that was his moment. Take a look.
Hold on. We just saw what Mexico did. Elected its first woman president ever. So you know where I'm going with this. Let's make sure we, here in the United States, elect our first woman president in Kamala Harris. Thank you, Michigan, for allowing me to come home. I always love coming home. But the main thing here is we gotta do a lot of work before November the 5th to elect Kamala Harris as our next president of the United States. So please, we're gonna be motivated when you leave here, but let's go to work. When we fight, when we vote, God bless you. Thank you.
And Brandon, yes, I covered it yesterday or day before yesterday. You watched that clip when our First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, went to Mexico to be part of the inauguration. And they have the first president and first female president in North America, North-South. So that's their big achievement. And certainly, I guess we're following right behind, right? And Larry Bird and Magic Johnson are my two favorite dudes. If you have them together and you talk to them, that friendship. Have you watched perhaps that Converse commercial and the story behind Converse commercial? I used to run, and it's still there, a viral NBA account on social media. It has like millions of subscribers and all that kind of stuff. And those stories, that's what I posted there. And that's how I learned about it. And it's just such a wonderful story. And certainly he's from Flint. And Larry Bird is, of course, from near Boston, right? So questions, concerns, complaints. That's right. I might have been out of the room. Yes. Okay. Stay in the room. All right. Stay put. Such charisma. We love Magic Johnson. Yeah. And Cookie Johnson's precious, his wife. All right. Now, I have a video for you. It's a bit longer. It's about 3 minutes. Okay. So stay with me. In this video on MSNBC, they compared the tax plan of Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Really important stuff. Take a look.
Donald Trump's plan would basically be to extend all his tax cuts for everybody, including the wealthy, exempt Social Security from income tax. These all add to the deficit. No tax on tips. Lower the corporate tax rate. He does want to repeal the green energy tax credits, but he would add $5.2 trillion more to the debt over the next 10 years. He has this idea for tariffs, which would offset it. Nobody thinks these tariffs would really happen. That would, even with that, it would add $2.6 trillion. Harris, on the other hand, has a plan that actually pays for itself. And it's also important to note that Trump's tax plan favors the wealthy. Harris's tax plan favors average Americans. She wants to extend tax cuts, but only for those making less than $400,000. And she wants to raise taxes on the wealthy, make them pay their fair share, as she has been saying, raise corporate taxes, make them pay their fair share. And so when you get to the bottom line down here, she would only add a trivial amount to the deficit. So she wouldn't solve the problem, but she would at least not make it worse. So when you add all this up together, you can see over here that Trump would add this $5.2 trillion to the debt without his tariffs, less with his tariffs, but as I said, no one really believes that's going to happen. And she adds essentially nothing to the national debt. And you compare that to what's happened under Trump and under Biden. Under Trump, $8.4 trillion, as you said earlier. In fairness, $3.6 trillion of it was COVID-related debt, but still all $4.8 trillion of debt. And Biden, a good bit less, especially when you exclude COVID. So it's a much superior plan than anything we've seen for a good while.
So let me ask you this, Steve. So that looks remarkable. First of all, I'm curious about your sourcing, and secondly, if that's all she added to the national debt, would that not make her the most fiscally conservative, with a small c, president this century? Compared to George W. Bush, compared to Barack Obama, compared to Donald Trump, compared to Joe Biden?
Yeah, Joe, that's a really good point. We have not had a president, as you saw over there, who didn't add a huge amount of debt.
What are the sources for these numbers?
These are Congressional Budget Office numbers. I mean,
what about the Harris plan?
These are numbers that her campaign produced, but have been vetted by the Tax Foundation,
right,
independent scorekeepers of this sort of thing. These are honest numbers.
Again, it is remarkable that here you have Kamala Harris, who has been part of an administration that has just outperformed China, just lapped China several times over the past 4 years, has outperformed the rest of Europe, all of our allies, the strongest economy in the world, a $27 trillion GDP, the strongest stock market ever, a 50-year high for the U.S. dollar, more oil production than any country in history, and now fiscally more conservative than any president this century, based on her plan and what it's projected to do. And there's still yahoos going around making millions and millions of dollars claiming that she and Biden are socialists.
Okay, so certainly a very important clip to watch, and thank you. So in South America, there were female presidents, but North America, that's the first one this time in Brazil, and hopefully Kamala Harris follows. Thank you. As to clip aligning, clip from today, so certainly, but again, if anything, I better stay corrected. Now, Trump sends us a press release because he was somehow, touched by the press availability and by the press briefing that President Biden showed off, looked presidential, smiled, and even though nobody, knew how to pay respect, he did his thing. Okay, so here's Trump sending us press releases. Thanks, Joe Biden upstages Kamala, ties her to their disastrous record. You just heard the video, goddammit. That's why I showed you that video, just to draw the distinction of this lie here. right? And what you heard before, he says Kamala, who spent years covering for Biden's obvious cognitive decline, has done everything she can to try and distance herself from failed Harris-Biden record. Now it's Harris-Biden record, not Biden-Harris. But anyway, at 2:04 p.m., Kamala took the stage in Detroit at a campaign stop aimed at shoring her. Oh my God. Anyway, at 2:06, Biden, or whatever's left from him, whatever's left of him, shuffled into the press briefing room for the first time of his presidency. Hide the ketchup. Somebody was touched. Don't you wish to be that person who shuffles into the briefing room? But we're gonna vote. We're gonna vote, and we're gonna, show you some other places than the briefing room, other rooms where you can sleep and fart and fall asleep. You showed us how that goes. So more of that. Now, I showed you a rally in Butler. They're planning to return to the place where Trump faced allegedly his assassination attempt, number one, or the only one, and certainly they're going to Butler. And they invited a bunch of guests. I posted the guest list on my Twitter shitter. So a bunch of guests. It's pretty much the Trump family, J.D. Vance and Elon Musk, and everybody and anybody. Sheriffs, the guy who was controlling the crane on July 13 when all of that went down in Butler, the guy who, was cleaning. Everybody is a guest, right? And certainly those who got hurt and those first responders, those are treated as VIP guests. The reason behind it, I don't know. But certainly with those guests, they probably will have a full room. And so we don't pay much attention for people leaving early, all right? So which became a certain thing. So now J.D. Vance got caught on a video where he finally answered, in his opinion, who actually did win in 2020. Unbelievable. Watch it.
Who won the 2020 election? Could you just answer? Did Donald Trump win? Yes or no?
Yes.
He did win.
Yep.
So will you concede? Will you concede? If your opponent gets more votes, will you concede?
I really feel bad for you, man.
I just want to know if your opponent gets more votes, will you concede?
Party.
So Trump won in 2020. Aren't you sick of your Kool-Aid that you've been drinking? I'm not sure. Keith says, wise rally. What I don't get. I mean, memorial event would be too human and humane and touching and would involve a heart and common sense. But I agree with you. I certainly would like to see a memorial because there was, aside from hugging the costume of that Corey, who certainly passed away, unfortunately, God bless his soul, MAGA guy, he hugged his costume at the RNC. Since then, we haven't heard any memorial. And we don't even know where does the money go that he got, right, for the victims of the assassination attempt, for the victims of this Hurricane Helene. We don't know, right? The rumor is 3% of everything that goes that is gathered for this initiative goes actually to beneficiaries that should get all the money because Trump has no shred of morals. Amen. 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 Eliza or Eliza. Okay. So next, Johnson, Mega Johnson. I was speaking to somebody from Europe and they're like, how dare he say he is believing in God and he's a God's guy when he posts this type of crap? So he says, last Wednesday, I led Congress to provide $20 billion extra dollars available immediately to FEMA so they would have operational funds right now to respond healing. Okay, wait a second. You passed temporary budget for the Congress, so our government does not shut down. It had nothing to do with the FEMA and the $20 billion. What are you saying, honey bunny? President Biden approved all the proclamations, declarations, whatever, before even the hurricane happened. And now he overtook all the cost for cleaning, for rebuilding to 100% from 90 days to 120 days and half a year. What are you talking about, honey bunny? Why are you lying? And he says President Biden, VP Harris have failed terribly in that response. Once the affected states are able to calculate their damages, Congress is fully prepared. Didn't you send everybody on vacation to return after the election? So you're postponing all of this for after the election because you want to have your orange buffoon to sign off of it? Well, he's not going to be president, even if, God forbid, he's elected. So what are you playing here? How disgusting. And don't forget how your guy did the Sharpie gate, how he threw the towels. That's what your guy did. Certainly. And now Trump, which this video pisses me off, but anyway, he talks about stolen FEMA money that went to illegals. That's just crazy.
Very unfortunate from that standpoint. You have illegal, you have the migrants, you're reading about it. Now, a lot of the money that was supposed to go to Georgia and supposed to go to North Carolina and all of the others is going and has gone already. It's been gone for people that came into the country illegally. And
here's Corinne Jean-Pierre.
President Trump is accusing the Biden administration of using FEMA funding to support undocumented migrants. How is the White House responding to that?
I mean, it's just categorically false. It is not true. It is a false statement. And look, the fact of the matter is, I think Washington Post fact checker did a piece, and the headline recently, just moments ago, not too long ago, and the headline was, "No, Biden did not take FEMA relief money to use on migrants, but Trump did." I'll leave it there.
Amen to that. And we bring those conspiracies into the briefing room at the White House so we can all together waste time on television, Koreans' time, everybody's time to address this absolute nonsense. As a correspondent, as a reporter, you certainly have the facts. So why are you asking this? You can do the fact checking. We can do the debunking. Let's leave the White House to leading. Maybe, certainly. Okay. Huh? I need a journalist follow-up on whether those products he used as props were given to victims. Yeah, the towels. Wait, I thought all the money went to Ukraine was the lie. It switches, right? Somebody said, why, with the money we sent to Ukraine, we could have protected, Carolinas and everything, right? And I replied, what, with 155 millimeter caliber, the weapons, what? That's what you're sending to Ukraine. How's that going to help Carolinas? They cannot even get their lies straight. Yeah, it switches. Doubt the props went to victims. Yeah, I don't think so. Maybe they collect it and they're like, oh, we come back for the next hurricane and bring the same towels back again. Now, if we think about a class act, and if somebody, aside from the government, wants to do something for other people when they're hurting, here's a wonderful video that will make your night. Here's Dolly Parton. Take a look.
And I'm sure a lot of you wondered where I've been. Everybody saying, where's Dolly? Well, I've been like everybody else, trying to absorb everything going on, trying to figure out all the best ways to do this, because then we had that crazy old Helene, you came in here and broke us all apart. Helene, but we're all here to mend these broken hearts, and that's what I'm doing here. So I really wish that we were all together for another reason, but we all have seen the devastation. I mean, who knew in our little part of the country here, where I was born and raised, just right down the road, that we would have this kind of devastation? And I look around and I think, these are my mountains. These are my valleys. These are my rivers flowing like a stream. These are my people. These mountain-colored rainbows, these are my people, and this is my home. And I just want all of you to know that, like Eugene was saying, you remember when we had the fires, everybody pitched in, tried to do everything that they could. And so I really think that this is a time for me to step up again, for all of us to step up and do what we can. And of course, today I wanted to announce that from myself personally, just from my own bank account, I'm donating $1 million today. But
That is a badass. Now, in a rare occasion here, Elon Musk showed decency, because we're on the decency segment. He says to Secretary Pete, thanks for expediting approval for support flights. Just wanted to note that Secretary Buttigieg is on the ball. He says, glad we could address. Thanks for engaging. So you can when you want, huh? When you want something, you can, right? Then you go back to crazy bamboozle. Interesting that there is still hope. Okay. Speaking of weird and crazy, Trump was I'm sorry, but he was flirting with a lady, and then he made a weird comment to her. So take a look.
This young woman, I walked into, I don't know what the hell restaurant it was, but I walked into this restaurant. I walked in, she's behind the counter, and she didn't know I was coming. And she goes, it's President Trump. She looks at me, it's President Trump. You saved my college. And I said, how the hell do you know that? She said, this one is so smart, so sharp. She grabbed me. She gave me a kiss. I said, I think I'm never going back home to the First Lady.
You were supposed to keep that quiet.
See, now, for the average politician, that's death. For me, I don't care.
We talk about HBCUs. President Biden and Kamala Harris gave the biggest amount of money in billions of dollars to HBCUs. Maybe the ladies should be reading on that a little bit. Kiss. Interesting. Okay, so given that Trump is very unpredictable, how do you think are international leaders reacting? And so here's Macron, president of France, Emmanuel Macron, talking about how, in his opinion, Europe has to prepare for potential Trump presidency. Take a look.
Europe is no more the top priority of the US. The US top priority is US, which is normal and fair. The second top priority is China. And for the rest, it depends on the moment. They are a super loyal and reliable partner on Ukraine. Will it last? I don't know. But let's be clear, at the same time, in Afghanistan, we didn't have the call before. In the AUKUS deal in Australia, I didn't have the call before. But it's not a reproach. I try to be lucid. The EU is not the priority of the US. And this is why part of the wake-up call period of time we are living, and part of what we have to completely reshape, is our defense and security strategy. We are part of NATO. No discussion. We are a strong ally of the US. No discussion. But we have to de-risk our model from the US agenda.
I will be very careful not to do accents, but that's so cute. Your comments, check it out. Did Dolly endorse Walz? I have no idea. Let's look at it. Creepy. That's about Trump and that young lady. Yes. Your eyebrow legit went up. Like, yeah, my eyebrow's uncontrollable. When it's Trump, I'm like, oh God, Jesus, Brandon, you got my disease. She's not a stranger. She's GOP operative. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. She was the same lady who hugged Trump in the Chick-fil-A. Yeah, that's so there's actors, right? And they're actors and they have several roles and they share roles, right? Maybe they're on, I don't think he pays anyway. So it's not a payroll. It's just like a mind gaslighting thing. I don't know. Maybe she wants to be the new Omarosa and end up at the White House. Who knows? Anyway, upcoming from October 6th to October 8th, Governor Walz, speaking of him, he will kick off fundraising blitz on behalf of Harris Victory Fund through California and the state of Washington. Not Washington, D.C., Washington State. So he has a bunch of events tomorrow and Saturday and Sunday, a lot of events. I'll try to report whatever is being reported so we have a better clue what he does. And second gentleman is cruising really across Pennsylvania, holding a bunch of events. Tonight there's a concert. I hope you, some of you attended, or perhaps, we get some footage from that as well. Our foreign Hey, Paul, our foreign policy is already damaged by Trump and MAGA has been normalized by Republicans. I think it's too late to avoid the damage of MAGA. Indeed. And also, the first presidency, Trump's presidency, caused that, right? That's why Macron is even considering that, because that was a big wake-up call. Because what if, Ukraine would have been invaded with Trump in office, and then he would have sold it for $1, right? For an potential ability to build Trump Tower in Moscow Sunday or Thursday after rain. But then EU would have inherited this entire problem and the war would have spread by that time, of course. Coattail riders. Yeah, that's the folks who show their support. Now, the talk is all about Liz Cheney supporting Kamala Harris. I covered it yesterday. I covered it in the newsletter. So take a look. It's all detailed. But here's some feedback. Okay, so Adam Kersinger, he was on television talking about it. Take a look.
Well, it's probably pretty surreal. It's very important because, again, if this is kind of the Republican base, a significant amount are sold on Trump and, they're going nowhere. But there's an amount of Republicans here that are embarrassed by him, but they still think there's some vestige of the old party left. And I just remind them, as I'd remind everybody, look, Liz Cheney, I'm conservative. Liz Cheney makes me look like a raving liberal. She's extremely conservative. Our viewpoints haven't changed from when she was number 3 in line to, for the party. She was the number 3rd most powerful Republican when I was called a rising star in the party. So what changed? Well, the answer is really simple. We did not bow the knee and pledge allegiance to Donald Trump. So anybody that tries to pretend like somehow this party is the same party, and this is the group we're talking to, you can't say that. It's literally just, do you commit to Donald Trump or not? And after what we saw, particularly on the January 6th committee and what we saw with the filing yesterday with Jack Smith, this guy is absolutely unqualified to sit again in the Oval Office and have nuclear codes.
CNN, do you commit to Donald Trump? Because you sit there like you're not being part of it. Because you are committed to Donald Trump. Check yourself before you wreck all of us. Now, Harris campaign issued a new ad featuring Liz Cheney.
Of 100 Republicans who worked in national security for Presidents Reagan, both Bushes, and for President Trump, now endorsing Harris for president.
She came up as a prosecutor, an attorney general, into the Senate. She has the kind of character that's going to be necessary in the presidency.
Vice President Harris is standing in the breach at a critical moment in our nation's history. We have a shared commitment as Americans to do what's right for this country. This year, I am proudly casting my vote for Vice President Kamala Harris.
Former generals, secretaries of defense, secretaries of the Army, Navy, and Air Force, CIA directors, and National Security Council leaders under Democratic and Republican presidents, Republican members of Congress, and even former Trump administration officials agree there's only one candidate fit to lead our nation, and that's Kamala Harris.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
It's good at. Now, to your point, yes, it has been reported first by Ed O'Keefe from CBS that Barack Obama is expected to start campaigning for Harris-Walz. It will be a 21-day sort of campaign blitz, and so this will be the biggest highlight. Certainly, there's one first event that is awaited, and then several events leading up to the election itself. So certainly not all 21 days, but there will be big events, which certainly I'm looking forward to covering. Now, on the Middle East, what I did mention, the Israeli military unleashed an intense bombing campaign against an underground bunker near Beirut, Lebanon, early October 4th, in a bid to target Hashem Safieddine, a cousin and the presumed successor of the assassinated Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah, according to 3 Israeli officials. And then it was confirmed that he was eliminated. Okay, now here's a story that I really want to kind of dive a bit into detail, because I think it means a lot to a lot of people, maybe perhaps not to you or me, but in general, just for the concept and expectations of it all. So perhaps you've heard, perhaps you read in my newsletter, perhaps you haven't heard, but the Chagos, I think you call it Chagos Islands, a small the gathering of islands, so to speak, in the Indian Ocean, have been a focal point of geopolitical tension and human rights debates. So here's a photo where those are located, as you see here, and then you'll understand why we're talking about it. You see it here, right, in orange. So it's right below Asia and between, let's say, Africa, Australia. So Indian Ocean. Now, on October 3rd, the United Kingdom, backed by the White House, agreed to transfer sovereignty of those islands, Britain's last African colony, to Mauritius. After 13 rounds of negotiations. The agreement marks a significant shift regarding the islands, which have been a point of contention since their separation from Mauritius in the 1960s. So, in the 1960s and 70s, UK forcibly removed Chagosian people from their homes to establish the Diego Garcia military base, a critical installation for US military operations in the Indian Ocean. The removal was carried out without compensation, leading to a long-term trauma and displacement for those folks, many of whom now reside on this Mauritius and other countries. Though International Court of Justice ruled in 2019 that UK's administration of the islands was illegal, reinforcing the claims to sovereignty. However, the UK has maintained control over Diego Garcia, which it considers vital for national security, granting the US military access for an initial period of 99 years. Now, it is very strategically important right now. Why? Because we are securing our partnerships and our contracts and our agreements with our partners in the Indo-Pacific. And that is where our military base is. Now, Republicans have been heavily advocating for not giving those islands a sovereignty and connecting them to their folks, right? And those who moved to this Mauritius, right? I pronounce everything in German way, so my apologies if it sounds weird to you. But anyway, so Republicans in Congress have been saying that they have links to Beijing. They struck the free trade agreement with China in 2021. And certainly if they will get sovereignty, they will go to China and China will declare them there. So that could be a potential conflict over those islands and especially over this military base. It could become a new Taiwan, if you will. But President Biden and Biden-Harris administration together with UK could convince UK to give them sovereignty and have the agreement to maintain the base for 99 years. And so then that's sort of the conversation. Will that lead to China claiming the island and then the military base, although it's still American and with UK guidance or UK guarding, right, this military base, will that be a problem, right, between China and US? So will that become the new Taiwan? So we will see, but certainly the notion is correct and it is right because people have been fighting for, their ethnicity, their history, and their well-being and their sovereignty, right? So for that reason, that has been a really big change, let's say. Another global fire brought to life by Trump and MAGA. Sorry, I'm really struggling with those. So we'll see what that will lead to, but I don't want us to overlook those little things, right? Because we pay so much attention to Taiwan because it's been discussed in mainstream media, but this little, islands, right, if you will, if you compare them to us, right? Certainly they're little. For them, it's the whole world. But being so in such close proximity to China and having our base there and having our partners who are also responding to us, and we have agreements with Japan, right? That's what they call ROK, right? They call it IJ4, I think, or 4. Anyway, it's 4 countries. It's Australia, Japan, South Korea, and New Zealand, I think, where all of us are together in terms of if there is sort of like it's not really NATO alliance, but it's certainly an alliance in case anybody would be approached by China or somehow will face some sort of situation. Others will come to their rescue, so to speak. And so it's a military agreement. That's what our Secretary of Defense, Austin, also our Secretary of State, Blinken, have worked on. They have been traveling through the Indo-Pacific for such a long time, to Singapore as well, and South Korea, and Japan certainly, and Australia, and striking those agreements that, God forbid, in any case, then we're all together. And so this particular base is of really high importance there. So alrighty, and I think we're done. Yeah, I showed you the map. I did. Okay, cool. So I think we're done for today. It's not a slow news day, but certainly not to compare with last week with the UN and the climate week and all that kind of stuff. On Monday morning, I will be covering something truly exciting that I'm looking forward to for the CFR, the Council of Foreign Relations in New York, and they have World Economic Update. And so it's a breakfast, starts very early, and we will hear, and I'll cover it and have questions there will be leaders of Morgan Stanley and other banks. And so given the Middle East situation in the Middle East, and also given the situation in Ukraine and the change of leadership in NATO, how will that affect world economy, how banks are adjusting, and so also given the election as well. So what will they share and how they see what's their worldview, economically seen. So that's what I will cover on Monday, and so a bunch of other events next week as well. With the Secretary Buttigieg, there will be some interesting things on climate, and transportation related to that topic. So I'm gonna bring you with me and cover all those events, and of course the Harris campaign too. Man, it's over. I don't even have work tomorrow. I don't know. I wish we could have more news, but I will do the following. For our watch parties, I'm confirming on Monday. I might have an event at night, but we'll see. Maybe we'll still do a watch party and somebody else manages it for you. But I will send a separate email to all email subscribers, to newsletter subscribers, with our watch parties, because what I notice is that if I add the RSVPs thing to our normal newsletters, you certainly overlook it, and then I post it and people are like, oh, I've never seen it. So I will have a separate email about watch parties for, like, let's say upcoming 2 weeks. Those are the watch parties. Sign up here. So you're going to get that email this weekend, right? Either Saturday or Sunday, you're going to get that email. Okay. Then 60-minute interview Monday with Kamala. Yes, exactly. So that's what I'm talking about. And then Ted Cruz debate, what you guys requested, that will be a watch party. And then please let me know if there are any other also local things or state related where we can watch together, because certainly electing Democrats up and down the ballot, that's the key. So if we can support, if we can spend time together and, with among like-minded people, that's the key. So if you're not subscribed yet, please go ahead, Onest, onest.substack.com. Please sign up. If you decide to support, I'm grateful for you. You certainly make all of this available, and, traveling and covering on the ground available, and I'm grateful for you. Okay? So thank you so much. I wish you a great weekend. God forbid something happens, I will be live, but certainly Monday through Friday is our schedule. So looking forward to watch parties. Me too. Yeah, I have so much fun watching this with you. That's Monday, 60 minutes Monday, and that's what we're planning our watch party to be. And town hall, yes, town hall also. I think it's the 23rd instead of that debate with Trump, right? That will be a town hall. Am I misunderstanding this? We had that. Wait a second. We had a town. We had a note here. No? Did I miss it? Anyway, I'm not gonna. I'll find it out. You get an email. Okay. So thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Callie. Have a great weekend to each of you. Yes. And Brandon likes watch parties. I like watch parties too. So have a safe weekend. And see you Monday for sure. And if anything, God forbid, then through the weekend. Have a good one.